Have you noticed? The more I tell myself, don't be anxious, don't think so much, relax. Instead, your brain starts racing like crazy. Those worrying things come up over and over again. Why is this happening? There is a phenomenon in psychology known as the rebound effect. When you force yourself not to think about something, your brain does two things simultaneously. First, it strives to suppress the thought. Second, it constantly checks, am I thinking about it again? The result is, the more you check, the more frequently it appears. For example, if I tell you, for the next 10 seconds, don't think about a white bear, you will find that a white bear has already appeared in your mind. Anxiety works the same way. When you keep telling yourself, I mustn't feel anxious, your brain is actually constantly reminding you, pay attention, anxiety is coming. So, what should you do? It is not about forcibly eliminating anxiety. Instead, try a different approach. Allow it to exist. Tell yourself, I am feeling anxious right now. This is just my brain trying to protect me. Observe it rather than fighting against it. Remember, anxiety is not the enemy. The more you run from it, the more it chases you. When you stop fighting it, its voice will actually begin to quiet down. Follow me for more fundamental psychological insights that help you understand yourself. Have you ever experienced this feeling? Even though nothing has actually happened yet, you start to feel anxious and your mind keeps wondering, what if I fail? What if things go wrong? It's not that you're overthinking things. Rather, your brain is activating a protective mechanism. When you feel anxious, a region of the brain, the amygdala, begins to detect potential danger. Its task is simple, protect you. But the problem is the amygdala cannot perfectly distinguish between real danger and imagined danger. So it may sound an alarm in response to future uncertainty. When the alarm is triggered, the brain activates the stress response system. The body prepares for fight or flight. You might experience a racing heart, shallow breathing, tense muscles, and a focus constantly scanning for problems. This is actually your body protecting you. But sometimes we get caught in a cycle. The more we fear and feel anxious, the more we focus on that anxiety. And the more we focus on it, the more our brain concludes, this is important, stay on high alert. Consequently, the anxiety is constantly reinforced. The next time anxiety arises, don't fight it immediately. Try telling yourself, my brain is trying to protect me, but that doesn't mean there is actual danger right now. Take a deep breath, return to the present moment, and let your brain reassess the situation. I am safe right now. Understanding your brain is the first step toward managing your emotions. Have you ever noticed? During the day, you seem able to keep your emotions in check, but at night, once you're lying in bed, a remark or a trivial incident from the day, or even a memory from years ago, suddenly comes flooding back. Why does the brain love to overthink so much at night? In reality, this doesn't mean you have become more sensitive. During the day, our brains are occupied with work, study, socializing, and various tasks. Many emotions and thoughts are simply relegated to the background for the time being. When night falls and things quiet down with less incoming information, the brain finally has the chance to process these overlooked matters. That is when those unresolved issues begin to surface. Research in psychology and neuroscience finds, when we stop actively completing a task, the brain enters a state called the default mode network. This system is related to self-reflection, recalling the past, and imagining the future. So when you calm down, it's easy for your brain to start, it would have been better if I had done this. Will anything go wrong tomorrow? That's why it's easy to get lost in thought at night. There is another reason. At night, you have been tired for a long day. When the brain is tired, our ability to control our emotions and regulate our thoughts decreases. Things that I feel are unimportant during the day, it may be magnified many times at night. A small problem can turn into a huge worry. So next time your mind starts racing at night, don't immediately blame yourself. Why am I overthinking things again? Try this instead. Write down the thoughts in your head and tell yourself, I've noted this down. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Double quotes sometimes, your brain isn't trying to hurt you. It just wants to make sure you don't forget anything important. Understanding your brain is the first step toward taking care of yourself. Follow me, and let's get to know yourself better. Have you ever had an experience like this? You know full well there are many things to do, and you realize they are important, yet you simply don't want to get moving. So you start blaming yourself. Am I just too lazy? But sometimes it isn't that you are lazy, rather, the pressure has exceeded what your brain can easily handle. As stress mounts, your brain focuses increasingly on threats and urgent issues. Your attention may become increasingly narrow, making it difficult to juggle multiple tasks at once. The more you have to do, the less you know where to start. The less you know where to start, the more likely you are to procrastinate. And after procrastinating, you start blaming yourself. So when you find yourself completely unwilling to take action, perhaps what you truly need isn't to keep pushing yourself, but rather to first lower the pressure associated with the task. The next time you find yourself not wanting to move, don't ask, "Why am I so lazy today?" Ask a different question instead. Is this task putting too much pressure on me right now? Sometimes pausing isn't laziness. It might be your brain telling you, "I'm actually a bit tired." Understanding yourself is the first step toward change. Follow me, and let's get to know yourself better. Have you ever noticed how your mind sometimes jumps straight to the worst-case scenario? Your boss says, "Come to my office for a moment." And suddenly you think, "Did I do something wrong? Am I getting fired? What if I lose my job?" This is called catastrophizing, a common thinking pattern where uncertainty quickly turns into the worst possible outcome. For example, you message a friend and they don't reply for hours. The only fact is, they haven't replied yet, but your mind may start filling in the blanks. Did I say something wrong? Are they angry? Do they not want to talk to me anymore? Soon, a simple unanswered message can feel like the end of a relationship. Why does this happen? Because your brain is designed to notice potential danger. Sometimes that protective system simply becomes too sensitive. So the next time your mind jumps to the worst outcome, ask yourself 3 questions. What are the actual facts? Is this a fact or just a guess? What other possibilities are there? Remember, thinking about the worst-case scenario doesn't mean it will happen. You don't need to stop your mind from thinking. You just need to learn the difference between facts and fear. Understanding yourself is the first step toward change. Have you ever noticed that when facing something that hasn't happened yet, our brains tend to jump straight to the worst-case scenario? You have a meeting tomorrow, and you're already worrying about saying the wrong thing. You feel a bit of physical discomfort, and you can't help but search for the most serious possible causes. You're waiting to hear from someone, but the reply is delayed, and you start wondering, has something gone wrong? Why does our brain love to rehearse disasters? The truth is, one of the brain's primary tasks isn't to keep you happy every day, but to help you identify potential dangers. For our ancient ancestors, spotting danger early was crucial for survival. So when faced with uncertainty, the brain might ask, what is the worst-case scenario? Because if there really is a danger, being prepared in advance could save us. But the problem is, many of the dangers in modern life aren't actually dangerous at all. An unreplied message, a mistake at work, or even an offhand remark from someone else. The brain might flag any of these as a warning signal, and so a mere possibility gradually starts to feel like an inevitability. Next time you find yourself dwelling on the worst-case scenario, try asking yourself, am I facing a fact right now, or just a possibility? Then ask, is there a more ordinary explanation than the worst-case scenario? Because when your brain imagines the worst outcome, it isn't actually predicting the future. It is simply trying to protect you. Once you understand this, you can gradually learn not to let every what-if control you. Understanding yourself is the first step toward change. Have you ever noticed that even though certain events are already in the past, your mind keeps dwelling on them? Did I say the wrong thing back then? Would things have turned out better if I'd handled it differently? This is what we call overthinking. If you often find yourself stuck in this loop, try these 3 methods. First, write your thoughts down. When a multitude of thoughts crowd your mind, don't just keep replaying them internally. Write them down. Then ask yourself, can I resolve this right now? If you can, note down your next step. If not, set it aside for the moment. Second, distinguish between facts and assumptions. Take, for example, a friend not replying to your message. The fact is, they haven't replied yet. Are they angry? Do they dislike me? These are merely assumptions. When you separate the two, much of the anxiety suddenly feels less real. Third, set aside a specific thinking time. If a problem can't be solved immediately, tell yourself, I'll think about this tomorrow at 7 p.m. Once your brain knows the matter isn't being ignored, it often stops needing to constantly remind you of it. Remember, reducing overthinking doesn't mean stopping your thoughts altogether. It's about learning to decide what is worth thinking about right now and what can wait until later. Understanding yourself is the first step toward change.